So before I start the real video, I just have to put this disclaimer in the front. I get passionate sometimes when I talk about things that I care about and things that I like. I get passionate, and in my passion, I get overworked, and I over exaggerate, and I lose the ability to talk for real. So in this video, I make mistakes on people's names. And I over exaggerate a little bit. Like I think I called Bill Russell once, and then I over exaggerate a little bit. Like I said, Hakeem Olajuwon could have 3 or 4 chips if Michael Jordan didn't exist, which is an exaggeration. We don't know that. So I'm gonna put this in the beginning. I get over exaggerated. I over exaggerate, and I get a couple small mistakes in there, like small. Like I get like years wrong, and I get names wrong and stuff like that because I just get so worked up talking about things I like. I've been doing it my whole life, so it's never gonna go away. In future videos, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I had to put this in the beginning. Bear with me. Sorry, but the meaning and the message in the video still stands. The sentiment still stands. The overall meaning of the video still stands. None of that undermines what I'm trying to say in the video. So I'm still gonna drop this. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Before I say anything, I want to start this off with a rest in peace. Rest in peace, Kobe Bean Bryant, and rest in peace, Gigi. And my condolences to that whole family. My condolences to Vanessa and the remaining daughter, Natalia. I believe it's Natalia. Now I gotta check. It is Natalia. It's Natalia. So rest in peace, Bean. Rest in peace, Gigi. My condolences to their family. I'm recording this because for years, literally since the man passed, maybe y'all gave this man a half a month. Some of y'all gave him a couple months. Where y'all sang this man praises. When this man passed, I watched some of the biggest Kobe haters that were on television before he passed. When he passed, talk about how great he was, how great of a human being he was, how they basically backtracked on everything they hated about. They talked about how good of his game he was, how good at the game he was. There were a lot of people after Kobe died that hated on him, that called him a top 5 player of all time after he died and within the months. There are people who loved him and called him a top 5 player before he died, who for some reason today don't want to give him that respect. And all of that is the biggest reason I want to make this video, is why I'm recording this. I grew up a Kobe fan. I watched Kobe my entire childhood. Unfortunately for me, I never got to see him perform live. Whenever he would come play the Hawks, we didn't get to go. My dad was in the military too, so a lot of his childhood, we were bouncing across the country. So, it was hard. And then when Virginia didn't have a team. We were stationed in Virginia a lot, most of those years. Virginia didn't have a team, so we couldn't go watch him play in Virginia. We would have to travel to DC or to the Carolinas. When we stayed in California, we stayed in San Diego. We didn't stay in Los Angeles. So like most of my life, to catch a Kobe game would have had to been like a 3 or 4 hour trip until we got to Atlanta at the end of his career. And even then, whenever he would play Atlanta, we never got to see him. So I'm a lifelong Kobe fan, but I've never got to watch him play in person live. That does not mean I haven't watched this man. This man, Kobe Bryant, is probably the only athlete, um, that I admired more than the sport and then the teams. Usually with sports, I'm more of a team guy. I'm not a big individual guy. I like Peyton Manning, but when I like Peyton Manning, I like the teams he played for. I like the Colts. I like the way they were built up. I like the Broncos. I like the way they were built up. You know what I'm saying? I like Von Miller. Peyton Manning is my favorite quarterback. He is. But even with Peyton Manning, I never view Peyton Manning above the sport, of football. And even with Kobe, maybe I did hold Kobe higher than the sport of basketball because ever since he died, I don't watch it as much. I don't. But not only is it because Kobe doesn't play anymore, one of the biggest reasons I don't watch basketball and I don't watch basketball discourse, or I try to avoid it. It always finds its way back to me, but I try really hard since Kobe died. I've tried really hard to avoid basketball discourse because for some reason, when it comes to that man, Kobe Bryant, I hear the stupidest takes. I hear the most disrespectful takes. I hear the most hypocritical takes. It's such a headache sometimes being a Kobe fan, listening to people who didn't even spend a lot of time watching the man talk about the man, and even a bunch of people who got paid to watch the man, the way they talk about him after his death. It's so hard to listen to. To me, I will never say Kobe Bryant is the best player of all time. He's my favorite player of all time. I don't do that in sports. There is no best player of all time, if you ask me. It's just who your favorite is. Because in so many decades, in so many eras, all of the sports have changed how they play drastically, even in baseball, even in soccer, even in hockey. You know what I'm saying? The way these sports were played today versus the first 2 or 3 decades that they were created, the 70s, the 80s, the 60s, the 90s, whatever. It's different. It's completely different. And so how those players would play back then is completely different from how those players would play today. How effective those players are today would be completely different from how effective those players were back then. The rules were different. The builds were different. The way the game was approached was just different. Today in basketball, if you have a player drafted like Kobe Bryant, who can go in a one-on-one in your whole team and beat them all one-on-one, you don't sit that player for the first year. You put him in a game so you can get that experience. That didn't happen with Kobe because of the era he came in. So a lot of y'all who like to talk about his stats, even if you want to give the caveat that he sat his first year, you still don't put the respect on the fact that he achieved all he accomplished while being benched his first year and a half, 2 years. Benched. And then was hurt, had to deal with an Achilles tear his final season. You know what I'm saying? So that's 3 seasons where his stats are affected, where he's not, you know what I'm saying? And I get it. Other athletes have that story. But there are athletes who y'all place above other athletes where y'all don't give them that nuance, where y'all don't give them that, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, y'all just want to look at numbers and disrespect people. The internet sometimes is just for disrespecting people and being negative. And that's terrible. That's so terrible, man. Because this man, I know, like a lot of you, when this man passed, it hurt. It impacted me. I shed a tear for a man I never met in person because of the way that he impacted me, the way that his hard work, his dedication to his craft, the way he presented himself, his intelligence, the way that everyone spoke around him. Everyone that met Kobe Bryant, even his haters, say when they meet him, he's one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet. Even the ones who played on his team and he pushed them, to a point where it was assholish. It was. But a lot of them look back today and they love Kobe Bryant. So it hurts when I get on the internet and I see that Shaq is talking about he could have won the same amount of trophies with Tracy McGrady. Come on, man, Shaq. Like, and that's what I'm saying about these people who talk about sports, these talking heads, these people who played with Kobe, these people who watched Kobe play his entire career. They've been so hypocritical since he died. Most of them, if not all of them, have been so hypocritical since this man has passed, because in the first 6 months that this man has passed, it's Kobe's top 5, Kobe's top 3. Kobe, the only other, it's Kobe and Jordan. There's nobody else, y'all. And in doing that, y'all forget about greats like Kareem. And that. So a man passes and you decide to boost him past what he's supposed to be in your head because he's passed. You're not being real in that. And then after 6 months, you drop him all the way down to, he's in my top 20. He went from top 5 because he passed away to now he's in your top 20. And some of y'all don't even want to put him there today. That's crazy, man. That's so crazy, man. We're not even that far removed from when Kobe played his last game. We're not even that far away removed from when Kobe played his last game. And y'all are trying to act like this man wasn't him. That's crazy to me. And that's so fucking disrespectful. That's so fucking disrespectful to this man. People who played with this man. Like Shaq said, he could have won the same amount of trophies with Tracy McGrady, but he couldn't win more Kobe's. He couldn't win more trophies without Kobe than with. He couldn't even pull that off. If Shaq had 5 or 6 championships, maybe I would entertain what he's saying. He won 1 chip without Kobe, and he needed the second best shooting guard in the league to do it. He needed Dwayne Wade. He needed to go find Dwayne Wade and Antoine Walker. Kobe got himself Pau Gasol and turned Pau Gasol into an all-star. Kobe did that. He turned Pau Gasol into Pau Gasol was an all-star. He turned Pau Gasol into a champion. He turned Lamar Odom into a champion. He did that. He turned Andrew Bynum into an all-star. He did that. Him and Phil Jackson. They did that. Him and Phil Jackson. I'm going to give Phil Jackson his respect. Shouts out to Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson is the GOAT coach to me. But he's also had Kobe and Jordan. So it's like, who can you call the best? Everyone doesn't get Kobe and Jordan. I get it, y'all. I get it. LeBron James is a really good player. He is. I used to be a big LeBron hater. And listening to all these people who hate on Kobe that made me stop hating on LeBron so much. Because LeBron is a great player. No matter what I think, LeBron is great. That's not up for debate. LeBron James is a top 5 player of all time. That's not up for debate. It's not. So no matter what I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what I think, I can't take that away from him. But it's like so many people can't get that thought in their heads. Kobe Bryant had the greatest scoring night we have ever seen. I don't care if Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points. Kobe Bryant had the greatest scoring night we've ever seen. He did that. Kobe Bryant was the Batman to Shaq's Superman, or the Robin to Shaq's Batman, however the fuck you want to say it. Kobe Bryant, in a lot of y'all eyes, was the sidekick, even though he wasn't the sidekick. They were a dynamic duo. They were 1A and 1B. And Shaq knows that. And Shaq has said that multiple times. He was not. And then he left that man. Went through some turmoil like every player does. Like your boy LeBron has in Cleveland. Y'all always want to chalk that shit up to LeBron's losing years to, he was in Cleveland with no team. Y'all always want to chalk them Jordan losing years up to he had no team. But in the years that Kobe didn't have Shaq, it's not he didn't have no team. It's that he was a ball hog and that he wasn't a winner and that he didn't have Shaq. Come on, man. Come on. And that whole time he was the highest scorer of the league. He was the most efficient player in the league. He was the hands down on one of the worst teams, one of the worst built teams in the league, was the best player in the league, hands down. And all these people who played in that era who are hating on him will tell you that. I don't get how Tracy McGrady can go from crying about this man to downplaying his accomplishments in a couple of years. That's crazy to me. I don't know how Shaq can be crying about this man, calling this man his brother, to downplaying his accomplishments in a couple of years. From someone like Nick Wright, I understand. Nick Wright was hating on Kobe before he died. Nick Wright is on the LeBron payroll. So I'm mad when Kobe dies and Nick Wright is talking about how Kobe is a top 5 player of all time. And then in a couple months it's back to, oh yeah, he's barely top 10. But I expect that from a Nick Wright. But to hear these people who know the game, who played the game, and who respected this man, to downplay his accomplishments is so heartbreaking as a fan. It's so heartbreaking. And only in basketball do we do this. Now, yes, in football, do some older players come and hate on new players? You do. Hate is gonna be everywhere. But only in basketball do we tear down Jordan to prop up LeBron. Only in basketball do we tear down Bill Russell to prop up LeBron. Only in basketball do we tear down Wilt Chamberlain to prop up LeBron. Only in basketball do we tear down Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon is a top 3-4 center of all time, y'all. Of all time. Let's stop disrespecting this man. Hakeem Olajuwon would have more than 2 rings if Michael Jordan didn't exist. Hakeem Olajuwon would have like 3-4 rings if Michael Jordan didn't exist. You know, if Shaq himself said he couldn't handle Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, yes, Shaq got himself a Kobe Bryant. Hakeem Olajuwon had Clyde past his prime. He had Clyde, and he had a good team. He had Kenny, he had Vernon Maxwell, he had Otis. They were the Twin Towers. Hakeem had a well-built team. He didn't have one of the top 5 to 10 players of all time on his team to help him. Michael Jordan had a Scottie Pippen. Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a Magic Johnson. Bill Russell had a team full of Hall of Famers. That whole starting lineup is in the Hall of Fame. Bill Russell got to play with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Hakeem Olajuwon had Clyde Drexler. I think he had Scottie Pippen past his prime. He had Clyde Drexler past his prime. Had Scottie Pippen past his prime. He still put it off for 2 of them. And was the only center Shaq couldn't handle. Shaq said that out his mouth. But, people be hypocrites. So now, if you ask Shaq, I bet he'll say, nah, Hakeem Olajuwon, barbecue chicken. So disrespectful, man. Give the people the respect they deserve. Give athletes the respect they deserve. Give the greats and the legends the respect they deserve. If you don't fuck with them, I get it. I am not the biggest LeBron fan, but I can't hate on that man. LeBron James is a great human being. He is. No matter what I think, LeBron James is a great human being and a great basketball player. The things I hate on are just the fact that he just did it in a different way than the guy that I admired. Literally, that's all it boils down to. LeBron James does things like tell the Lakers coach Frank Vogel that we don't want to practice. When you got a team full of young guys, you're telling your coach y'all don't want to practice. Y'all don't need to practice. We should practice less. When you got a team full of young guys, and then you blame it on the coach and let him get fired. That's the stuff LeBron does. LeBron tries to run a team, and when it's not successful, he points fingers. That's what LeBron does. But he's still a great player. And he's still a pretty good human being, because all the people that meet LeBron, they don't have to deal with him in that aspect, will tell you he was a good player. He's a good person. We'll tell you he's a good person, and he's a good dude. The man doesn't get in trouble with the law. Man doesn't get in trouble with his family. Man doesn't get in trouble with the league. LeBron James is inspiring, and he should be inspiring the black boys. And I cannot hate on that. I can't. The man is going to be a billionaire for playing ball, or is a billionaire for playing ball, and has a lot of power where black people never had. LeBron James is an inspiration. That don't mean that he didn't come to the Lakers, try and run it into the ground, ruined a lot of our young talent. Because before Kobe died, we were terrible at drafting. After Kobe died, we picked up really good draft picks, only for them to go through the LeBron system, get booted, go somewhere else and have a decent career at least. Oh, and then all the LeBron fans, did they win anything? Well, no, because look at where they got booted to. But look at what they're doing on those teams. And look what they could have did with that talent on a LeBron team. Half that talent LeBron booted off, if he'd have kept him, we might have won the chips he's been trying to win in LA. But no, he doesn't want to practice. He doesn't want to practice because he's getting older. I get that. But you got young guys who need to learn the game. But still, I put respect on LeBron James' name. Still, I put respect on Wilt Chamberlain's name. I just found out that man don't deserve nobody respect, but he's great at what he does. Same thing with Carmelo. Don't deserve nobody respect. He was great at what he does, and he gave to his craft. Please, let's stop shitting on Kobe's name. Respect that man. He's a top 5 to 10 player of all time. I don't care. So, like I said earlier, when I talk about things I get passionate about, I get over carried away. I over exaggerate, and it's hard for my brain to spit out the facts. It is, because I'm so caught up in the passion in the moment. So I'm going to let someone who does actually defend Kobe, gets paid to talk about sports, and did a good job talking about it with facts and with passion. I'm going to let him basically lay out what I've been trying to say.
Did you hear? Quote was, T-Mac said if you switch him and Kobe out as far as playing with me, the outcome is the same. You don't think I would have won 3 with T-Mac? I think I could have. And let me just say this to Shaq. Stop it! We've gotten to a point now where the mythology of Shaquille O'Neal has eclipsed the player. And I'm going to focus on Shaq right now. Okay. I'm going to bring facts first, and I'm going to bring feelings later, because I think both are important. Shaq is credited with being the most dominant player in NBA history. For my money, he is. Mm-hmm. He is the most physically dominant, imposing player that I've ever seen. And he's the biggest reason why, when we have these mythical debates, like who's going to win, Jordan Bulls or the Showtime Lakers? Showtime Lakers or the Steph KD Warriors? Steph KD Warriors versus Shaq Kobe Lakers. Ultimately, it always comes down to, for me, is, who's going to guard Shaq? That's why I'm picking 01 versus damn near everybody, because I don't think there's anybody that could have handled 01 Shaq, point blank, period. Having said that, for Shaq to come out and say, you put Tracy McGrady with me instead of Kobe, we're winning those 3 chips. Shaq, let me take you down memory lane real quick so that we know exactly what we're talking about when it comes to the greatness of Kobe Bryant. You had T-Mac before T-Mac in Orlando. His name was Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway was a 2-time first-team All-NBA player, 3rd in MVP voting when he played with Shaq one year in 1996. And you know what happened? Shaq got swept out of the playoffs. 94, 95, 96. 2 of those years with who at the time was the Tracy McGrady, the Kobe Bryant, the Dwayne Wade of that league. Moves over to the Lakers. Swept out of the playoffs. 1998, 1999. 5 times before Kobe reached his ascension, you were swept out of the postseason. One of those years in Los Angeles, you had 4 All-Stars on your team getting swept out by the Spurs. It wasn't until Kobe Bryant made the leap from, hey, this kid's got a lot of potential, to, hey, this guy is legitimately a star player, that they got over the hump. And now I'm going to work backwards from that 3-peat. In 2002, Shaq, deservedly finals MVP, dominant in that run. You know, Kobe led the team in scoring 10 times in that run. He was incredible. Shaq led him in scoring 8 times. So even though Shaq was the guy in the finals, Kobe was the guy all the way up until they got there. 2001, Kobe led the team in scoring 8 times. Shaq led the team in scoring 8 times. So in 2001, they were at a minimum equal, right? During that playoff run as players. Again, Shaq, because it goes against the Eastern Conference, cooks in the finals. So the assumption is this is Shaq's team. Shaq's the better player. Shaq was the finals MVP. Going back to 2000, the first one, make no bones about it, that was the pinnacle Shaq. MVP, easily the best player in the year of the year. The most dominant season by the most dominant player I think we've seen from Shaq. You know, in the 2000 Western Conference Finals, Game 7, the one where they were down by 15, where Phil Jackson says on record, we might as well pack it in, guys. We're not winning this game. It's over. You know who led that comeback? Who that? It wasn't Shaq. It was Kobe. In that Game 7, decided Game 7, Kobe led the team in points, rebounds, assists. blocks, had the highest plus minus on the team or of the starters. That wasn't Shaq. That was Kobe. How I can make a case that Shaq, not only are you not winning 3 championships with Tracy McGrady, you might not even win 1. You do not get by Portland if Kobe doesn't go supernova in game 7. And now I'm going to bring feelings into it. Elijah, put the camera on me. Where's my camera? Is it right here? Is it right here? I'm going to go right here. Shaq, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. What you said, I just pointed out, was factually inaccurate. But to make it worse, in an effort to build up your own mythology, in an effort to remind the younger generation just how good you were, you disrespected the best player you ever played with. You disrespected the man who you spoke at his funeral because you wanted to make yourself feel better. You should be ashamed of yourself, Shaq. Don't ever bring that nonsense in here again.
And that was Mr. Rob G. I believe Rob G is an analyst and a showrunner at Fox Sports. But let me make sure. Rob G. Yeah, he works for FS1. He's a producer. So, thank you, Mr. Rob G, for better explaining my point than me. Let's stop disrespecting Kobe Bryant, please.